Welcome once again to Modaday. So here we are, we're going to go ahead and install a few new mods, as usual. First, Yi, a snowflake mod, by Johnny Wank. Even though it's outdated, we're still going to use this because we're not switching our weathers mod. That would be impractical. Next is Dave's UFHD Mountains, Earth. With this, you have three main options. The main file without Majestic Mountains, or the dark version of the main file. The version I'm going to choose is Majestic Mountains 8K. Go ahead, Mod Manager, download it. This is one of those instances where you need 8K, because chances are you're going to get pretty close to one of these mountains. And then, when you're only seeing, say, 10% of the mountainside, it kind of is important that you see a higher resolution 10% than the low resolution 10%. Next, we need the 1.4 hotfix. There is a work in progress MOS. You can get that. You can choose to skip it since it is work in progress. I'm going to go ahead and get it. If you scroll down, you will find a 16K version of certain textures. You can choose to get that if you have a 4K monitor and your computer can handle it. Most people's computers can't handle it, or they don't have a 4K monitor. The third mod we have today is Custom Cinematic Fire Effects HD. Just download the main file. And finally, Marvelous Windhelm Gate SE. I'm going to go with the 4K file, even though I do have a 1080p monitor, because you do get kind of close to that. And we're going to go ahead and start installing. So, get the snowflake. Install it. Simple enough. The main file of Dave's Mountains. Next, you need to install the hotfix. Merge it. Then install the MOS if you choose to use it. And merge. And the cinematic fire. And finally, the Windhelm gate. Go ahead and enable all four. After enabling, go into Dave's UFHD Mountains and change Dave's Majestic Mountains Landscape to an optional. Double-click Dave's UFHD Mountains, File Tree, Meshes, Landscape, select both, retrace objects, and hide them. Similarly, open the Snowflake mod and change the improved snow weather.yes Obsidian Weathers to an optional as well. Go ahead and sort. And apply. For Cortex users, go ahead and install each. Unfortunately, none of these are faux-modded mods, so we need to extract all to / as usual. Now go ahead and start adding. New mod from folder, select folder. Start with water, snowflake. Next one. Move on to Dave's UHFD, the main file. After that, move on to the hotfix. And the MOS. Next, go on to the cinematic fire. And finally, the Windhelm gate. Open Ultra Realistic Snowfall. delete the ESP, create a new data folder, and move the textures folder into it. Open Majestic Mountains by Dave, and rename the subfolder to Data so that it has the meshes and textures within it. Delete the landscape.esm. Open the hotfix, rename the folder to Data, once again so that it has meshes in it. Also delete majesticmountains.ini and go into Meshes, Landscape, and delete Reach Grass, Object 1 and 2, open up Cinematic Fire, create a new data folder, move the contents into it, and the Whiterun gate, the Windhelm gate. Create a new change data, and enable all 6 of these. Refresh. Enable all the plugins. Should only be 3. For Vortex users, install all. Once they're installed, open E in File Manager. Delete the Obsidian Weathers ESP. Open the Majestic Mountains 8K in File Manager. Delete landscapes, go into Meshes, Landscape, select both Reach Grass objects, and delete Majestic Mountains.ini. Then enable all, and enable all again. You'll have some conflicts, so let's resolve these. So first of all, Yi. Load after Scandinavian seasons. Next, UFHD Mountains. The Moss should be loaded after all the rest of the files. Subtentral Landscapes, Tamerlane Textures, and UFHD Mountains. The Fire Effect should be after Embers HD, after Medieval Silverworks, and after Rudy HQ. Dave's Majestic Mountain should be after Hyperborean Snow, before Stunning Statues of Skyrim, after Subtentral Landscapes, Skyrim 3 Landscapes, and Tamerlane Textures. And save it. Deploy again. We're doing something slightly different this time. Open SSEdit itself, not the VQSC that we normally use. Select None. Search in the list for Dave's Majestic Mountains. Double-click it. You'll notice this edits landscape textures, material objects, statics, and texture sets. It also edits world space. Unfortunately, the main thing that this edits is the landscape. The vast majority of the landscape edits are done in the landscape plugin, which is why we deleted that. However, these landscape edits can still potentially cause a gap in the terrain. So for that reason, and because I don't feel like patching gaps in the terrain, delete the entire world space section. That's simple. Now you will need to do this every time Dave's Majestic Mountains updates, but that's going to be for a later time. Close and save. Now of course, as you might have already noticed, we definitely need patches. So go ahead and disable all. Yes. Scroll up, enable USEP. Then enable Dave's Majestic Mountains. Run VQSC. All the conflicts are statics. Some of these are going to be easier than others to patch. So, first of all, the Rockcliffe Snow, this one right here. Rockcliffe 2, the snowy version. it's fine enough. You can leave it as is. Moving down, rock pile. Also another rock pile. And so on. You'll notice Dave's Majestic Mountains is patched for Vanilla Records, supposedly. But we're not going to be patching anything, so just create my group. Disable Dave's. Switch to Moss Rocks. Run VQSD again. Nothing to patch here. Once Cinematic FX is loaded, let's start patching. Go ahead and copy both these records from Cinematic. Go ahead and copy both these records from Cinematic Fire Effects into an override patch. For the light fire, let's keep the flicker and everything else is from CFFX. For the light fire street, keep the object bounds in the flicker, but keep the color from CFFX. Add masters, close and save. Now let's enable all. You'll notice we've reduced conflict. It's just Cinematic Fire Effects, Embers HD, and ELE. So first of all, close. Loot. If you are a Vertex user, you can skip looting. Disable all. Yes. Enable USEP, CFFX, and CFFX USEP. Next, enable ELE USEP. Run VQSD again. Open them all, and let's take a look at these. So, most of these are going to be changes to color by CFFX, and changes to radius, and ELE is also probably going to try and do the same thing. Here's the thing. Most of this, I'm going to want the CFFX version. So copy the two records from CFFX USEP. And all the other records from CFFX itself. And now, let's go ahead and start looking. So, object bounds should be copied from ELE. So whenever you get to Ice Candlelight, all those should be ELE's version. The color should remain from CFFX though. Once you've copied all the object bounds from ELE to the CFX ELE patch, add masters, sort masters, create a mod group. Close and save. Disable ELE USEP. And move on to Embers HD. Run VQSC again. For CFFX and Embers HD, you have a single placed object different. The scale is all that was changed, and this might actually cause an issue if you copy this as override, because Embers HD changes what is there, not just the scale. So, let's go ahead and create a mod group. And we're done for the day. See you guys next time.